difference of squares, sum, difference of cubes, trinomials. The last one is grouping. And this is when you have 4 terms. So to factor this, we're going to group the first 2 terms together and the second 2 terms together. So I'm going to put x cubed plus x squared together and negative 4x minus 4 together. And then you look at each group individually and see and factor out the GCF. So what does x cubed and x squared have in common? X squared, yep. So they both have 2 x's. Yep. And so then if I take out the x squared, if I divide out the x squared, I'm left with x plus what? 1. Because x squared divided by x squared is 1. Then I look at the second group and factor out the GCF. What would be the GCF of that group? Negative 4. Very good. We use the negative because the first one is negative. If the first one's negative, your GCF is negative. And so if I divide this by negative 4, I'm left with x. And then if I divide negative 4 by negative 4, what is that? Plus 1. Good. When you do grouping, you have to have what's left in the parentheses has to be the same. So that's kind of a way you can check to make sure you're doing it right. If it's not the same, you've messed up.
So it can't be a plus and one be a minus.
Correct. They have to be exactly the same. And so then your answer in one factor, you take what was on the outside, so what I have in pink, x squared minus 4. And then in the other factor, you put what you had on the inside. But you only write that one once. You don't write it twice. And so you can check your answer. Okay, so if I do x cubed plus x squared minus 4x minus 4, I get 20. And then if I do x squared minus 4, x plus 1, I also get 20. That tells me it was correct. And that's it. So 27, let's split them into groups. X cubed minus x squared, 9x minus 9. What's the GCF of the first group? X squared. Leaving me with what? X minus 1. What's the GCF of the second group? 9. Leaving me with x minus 1. Do my 2 parentheses match? Yep, so I am good to go. So my final answer is x squared plus 9, x minus 1. It does not matter which one that you write first. If you write the x minus 1 first and then the x squared plus 9, or vice versa. Number 28. We have x cubed plus 5x squared and negative x minus 5. What is the GCF of the first one? X squared. A lot of times that's what it's going to be. And then I'm left with x plus 5. Are there any questions on how I'm factoring this? Now the next one, what's the GCF? We're going to put -1. If they don't necessarily have anything in common, starting with a negative, I've got to make that a negative. Alright, so if I divide out the negative, I'm left with an x, and that would turn into a plus 5. Do my parentheses match? Yes, so I'm good. X squared minus 1, x plus 5. Number 29, I have 4x cubed minus 5x squared and negative 16x plus 20. What is the GCF of the first group? X squared. Leaving me with? 4x. Yep. 4x minus 5. And then GCF of the second group? Leaving me with 4x minus 5. Because 20 divided by -4 is -5. So my answer is x squared minus 4, 4x minus 5. Try number 30. So this is what you should have got. 2x to the 4th plus 7 and x minus 9. Any questions? So now before we wrap up, we're not taking any more notes. But I want you to look through these 5 examples that we did. And the factoring methods, we did GCF, we did difference of squares, and then we did the sum difference of cubes and the trinomials. Look at each of your factors and see if any of those could be factored some more using one of those methods. Do you see any that could? See any that are difference of squares or some difference of cubes? What does it mean to be a difference of squares? You can square root the square, so you have 2 things that you can square. What does difference mean? Subtract. Do you see any factors that are subtracting 2 perfect squares? Is x squared a perfect square? Yep. Is 4? So technically, and this is what we'll be doing in our next lesson, we would be taking this one a step further, and we would take this and factor it down. Same thing for the x squared minus 1 and this x squared minus 4. But for what you're doing today, you only have to do the grouping and then you can stop.